Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so boredom has set in, so that means Mind Like Mine creates content just to entertain myself, and hopefully, if I can entertain you guys, that is a bonus. Welcome to BDL 44's channel. My name is BDL 44, and what I'm thinking about right now is the fact that it is August 4th, and there's no signing from LeBron James to the LA Lakers. Now, should I be concerned? No, not at all. His people released a statement essentially saying we have until June 30th to sign the thing. So, yeah, that's all. That's it. We have till June 30th, and we're going to take our time, and that's it. No surprise here. I'm not worried. I'm not anxious. I'm not even blinking. I think that everything that I said yesterday and the night before still stands. LeBron James is in a good spot. Putting pressure on the Los Angeles Lakers to make good decisions on his behalf probably is in his best interest given his timeline and the things that we have to be concerned with. Letting us, the Laker organization, off the hook from his standpoint probably only benefits him in the short term in terms of allowing him the security of an extra year, which if you're LeBron James, you already have just by your name. Most players don't, but I think LeBron James could literally suffer a catastrophic injury and still get signed because that's how much revenue he brings to a team. So it doesn't benefit him as much to sign an extension as it probably does literally everyone else. So in this case, it would just be him foregoing his leverage to force the Lakers to make certain moves that otherwise keep his timeline, blah, blah, blah. And I think that's probably what he's looking at. I think the landscape going forward is uncertain. The Lakers have been uncertain in terms of how good of a team we're going to be. So, keeping us on our toes is probably the move to make. Now, so that's really it for that situation. I'm not surprised or concerned at all. I really don't have any bad feelings. I just think LeBron James is going to take his time, figure out what this roster is going to look like, figure out what this front office is going to look like. If for some reason we don't get Kyrie Irving or something like that, he at least keeps his options open to be able to do what he needs to do to stay in a contention and ultimately strategize himself toward playing with his son. So he's going to be a Laker this year. And I think the worst comes to worst is that we're going to have more cap space than anybody else if for some reason we lose LeBron James. So for whatever it's worth, we're going to have a brand spanking new Laker team if for some reason this goes left. So we're just going to relax, basically. That's what we're going to do. So segue in out of that, I did see some pickup basketball. UCLA hosted some guys in their gym. Pascal Siakam, Tyrese Halliburton, James Harden, Thomas Bryant, a few other Toronto Raptors role players, a couple guys that I recognize. And I can tell you this, since we're talking Lakers, TV looked great. It seemed like he was scoring just about every bucket he tried to take. Mid-range, inside, you name it. He was getting easy buckets all game long. So I'm very excited about his conditioning. He looked good. James Harden looks really good. And let me tell you something. James Harden ain't been in this type of shape since Houston. James Harden's in shape. James Harden took his offseason very seriously. He's as slim as he's been in a very long time, and I'm very excited about what he's going to be able to do in terms of rejuvenating his career this season. He's going to have a bounce-back year. I don't expect him to have an MVP season or be able to regain his explosiveness or none of that. But I just firmly believe that the adjustment process has taken place. His body took a few steps back athletically, and he was out of shape on top of that, and he was recovering from the injury, the growing injury on top of the stress that came with having to leave the Brooklyn Nets in that situation. All of that is gone. He's where he wants to be. His situation is settled. Everything is settled about as well as it's going to be with the finances there as well, and now it's just time to play basketball, and he looks like he's ready to do that. So I'm higher on the Philadelphia 76ers than I was last year, just based off the sheer notion that they're going to have a healthier, full season of Joel Embiid, and of course James Harden's now there. And I think they've done some good things for their bench to kind of make them a little better, not significantly better, but better to the degree they need to be to probably get out of the round that they lost in. So I like Philly this year. I don't know how much, but I definitely think the potential is pretty solid for that team in terms of making the playoffs and doing something big. So Scotty Barnes looked great. Since we're talking about the Toronto Raptors there as well, he was out there hitting buckets left and right, doing all the things that he does very well. Second-year player, rookie of the year. It's not going to be long before Scotty makes an all-star team. It's not going to be very long at all. So, yeah, just looking at that was nice. Everybody's looks like they were in shape. And seeing TB run around out there representing our Lakers, knowing that he's been out of the game for a little bit and is trying to work his way back from injury as well. Seeing him look as good as he did in that pickup game was very encouraging. Very encouraging. Yeah, Tyrese Halliburton was out there as well. I don't know if I mentioned him or not, but he looked like his normal self, ready to get his year started with the Pacers and probably take off and be an all-star very soon. Yeah, just a little something that I saw there. It was nice seeing little highlights from that game. What else is going on out there? Not a whole lot, you guys. I'd be lying if I said I heard a whole lot. Haven't heard of any other signings or any other situations taking place. Just a real stagnant summertime. But at least we know we have some conclusion to the LeBron James signing situation. He did not sign his extension, and so that's that. Now we move forward and see how the front office reacts to that. Which I don't think is going to be nothing to it. I really, genuinely don't think. Now that we're here, I don't get the sense that people are panicking, like maybe I thought they might have a week ago. I don't think so. I just think the situation that we're dealing with right now is so unique and it's so uncertain that it's almost hard to be disappointed about anything because you don't know what you need with the landscape being as it is. It's literally that simple. You really don't know what to want right now. Because if you lock LeBron James up, let's say the extension was for longer than 4 years, or 3 years, 4 years. There's no guarantee, based on the way things look right now, that that's actually a good thing for the Lakers. Given his age, given the circumstances and how hard it is to move people, given the fact that players do often ask for trades with long contracts at this point. We see that with more than one player. So if you're the Lakers, you probably want to be in an interim basis with everybody at this point too. And see, that's the other side of this. I'm curious to see how the collective bargaining process goes, because I really don't think either party, the players or the owners, should be excited about dishing out, getting contracts going anymore. Players shouldn't be as quick to lock up because it's too difficult to move out of those circumstances. And teams shouldn't be as quick to lock up because it's too difficult to move out of those circumstances. And so maybe the Lakers would like to have LeBron on an interim basis at this point, or to better describe my thought, maybe they're not sure what to want in that regard right now. In the past, he'd be like, okay, he didn't sign, it's panic time, or he signed, we're happy. With the way things are going now, it's hard to be certain what it is that's best. It's really hard to be certain. So that's another reason why I don't think people are panicking. It's probably best to have everything be short term while everything is uncertain. So that is what I got to say. Also, since we're talking basketball, I saw a very good interview with Draymond Green and Kyle Kuzma. As a Laker fan, to see where Kuzma's at right now, very, very happy to see his progression on the court, off the court. His mind is right. It seems like the move to Washington got his mind right. He admitted that when he was a Laker, he didn't put as much of an emphasis on other aspects of his game other than scoring. And, getting traded from the Lakers kind of lit a fire under him to try to focus in on doing more. And that's really been my criticism with him. And hearing him say that made me happy for him, but unhappy for me as a Laker fan. Because I'm like, Kuz, why didn't you give me that? I will sit up here screaming into this camera for over 2 years that you need to do more than score the ball. because I've seen the intangibles of upside in other areas from the beginning of training camp. When I first saw the kid play, I knew he could pass the rock. I knew he could rebound the ball. Obviously, he could shoot. Obviously, he had open court ability. He's an artist with the basketball in his hand in open court. And I haven't even been able to see signs of that since he was in his first and second year. But that was my assessment of him, that the dude can literally improvise as well as anybody, finishing the basketball, driving at the rim. In the open court, in a fast break situation, the dude creates stuff. He's an artist. And I've been saying that for over 2 years. And the funny thing about that was listening to him talk and how he was expressing his love for art. And I just thought that was really ironic because I identified him as an artist before I even heard him speak. I was like, this dude is a basketball player, but he's even more so an artist. And that was before also that I saw his interest in fashion and all. That was before all of that. I was just looking at a guy who, with his footwork and with his style, would just create ways of finishing, improvisations, Euro steps and twirls and all different types of stuff that you know damn well he didn't have in his mind when he was moving. He was creating this stuff on the fly. So I'm like, all right, Kuzma's an entertainer. Kuzma's somebody who just needed to be in a position to spread his wings. And I think he mentioned something else in that interview that I thought was really important in regards to his perspective on the team. It was like, now he's being asked about decision making. Now he's being asked about what he sees out there. Now people are coming to him about strategy. People are looking at him as an NBA champion and valuing his input. And as a Laker, no matter how much he did hear, because of the dynamic of the team as it progressed, he was always little bro. Even after winning an NBA championship, he was never going to be looked at by anybody in that locker room for leadership. As to where as soon as you leave that situation, because of your experience in that situation, you are now by default a leader. So that's something that he said that really stood out and really was a plus in terms of leaving the Lakers and going to the Washington Wizards. So I just found that to be a really fascinating conversation between him and Draymond Green. Kuzma mentioned a lot about what he wants to do off the court in fashion and how much the adjustment has been from moving from the East Coast. What I thought was also fascinating was something that I hadn't heard athletes mention very much, was the difference in traveling between being a West Coast athlete and an East Coast athlete in the NBA. And it seems like it would be common sense, but it ain't something that you think too much about, so it doesn't really come to mind for people like myself who don't live in the East Coast, don't travel that way very often. Even though I have been out there and I know this to be true, but like you can go across, of course, eight states in the East Coast, and it could be the equivalent of going to, up and down California and to Oregon. Like, you know what I mean? For us out here, traveling across state lines is like very, very, very big deal, depending on where we're structured, where we're settled in California. You know what I mean? Like for a guy like myself in LA, we ain't crossing state lines in any direction for at least 2 hours, at the very least, the very least 2 hours. So it's like, that's a big deal as to where if you're in Washington, it's a 20-minute bus ride to Atlanta, 25, I'm just, using an example, I'm not really certain, but it don't take long to get from one spot to the next. You can catch a flight and be where you need to be in 25 minutes and don't miss any sleep, as to where with the Lakers, you're flying to Minnesota, you're flying to Utah, you're flying, to different places that require you to be on a flight for half a day by default, in regular circumstances. So a guy, like for example, Kobe never experienced the simplicity of the structure of being in the East Coast and not having to really worry about travel pretty much at all, but for like long road trips, or if you got to take a trip to the bottom of the map if you're in Toronto or something. But other than that, most of the things that you got to do out there is just hop, skip away. So how the adjustment is made for players and how easy it is to make that adjustment or difficult, it's something that I really stood out in that conversation. So yeah, man, just a great convo. Draymond Green's been giving us great content through the summer, and this was yet another one of those, man. It was good to see Kuzma, talk for an hour and just keep us compelled about all different types of stuff that didn't even have nothing to do with basketball. So that's what I like. He's a player that's been on our team for 4 years. I didn't think I knew him until I sat down and watched this today. I'm like, oh, Kuzma was much more mature than I thought. Kuzma was much more well-rounded, much more versed, much more business-minded than I thought. So him picking up stuff from Kobe and LeBron and all of these different excellent people who've been around him, Magic Johnson, he's had an opportunity to kind of understand his brand and what he wants to do in that regard. So I think that was really insightful, and it's good to see basketball players in a different light, especially as they're coming of age. So that was really good, man. Really good. So that's pretty much where my head's at. That's what I got to say, man. Just wanted to step in and give you guys a quick little video recapping just about everything I could think of in regards to the NBA. I'm sure there's more, but ain't none of it coming to mind right now. So that's pretty much what we got, man. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.